Hi, welcome to my channel. My channel is all about helping people just like yourself to learn to speak a new language. In this case, this video is about learning to speak Spanish. How do you learn to speak Spanish? Well, how did you learn how to speak? Do you remember? A long time ago, huh? I'm going to guide you through the learning process, and we're going to start today with this video on making sure that you have all the sounds that are required to be spoken in that language. So this video today is about an inventory of all the sounds. I have a very good way for you to make sure that you can pronounce all the sounds that are going to be required of you in order to be able to speak Spanish. I'm going to go through a whole inventory of all the sounds that are required and for you to speak Spanish. So let's find out how many you know. How many do you know? How many do you think you know? Listen to all the sounds that I'll be producing, and you can learn all those that you don't know. Learning to speak a language, what you're actually doing is taking a pure sound, a vowel sound, and placing it next to a consonant sound, as we call them. It's actually just a non-pure sound. Pure sounds are what people know as vowels. They're pure sounds. There's no restriction when the sound comes out of your throat. There's no restriction by the either the lips or the teeth or the tongue, or it just comes out pure. And and Spanish happens to be one of those languages that has very, very easy vowels to learn. And you know, the vowels, since speaking is contrasting pure sounds with non-pure sounds in familiar patterns that are blended in order to produce an utterance, which is what I'm doing right now. As I'm speaking to you, I'm producing utterances. Utterances, if you watched my previous video, are somewhere between 7 and 15 words, which is about somewhere between 75 sounds to 100 sounds to 150 sounds in a row without pausing. We can do it. Our brains do it. All we have to do is feed it the right information. And I talked about all that in the previous video. So today, here we go. I'm going to start with the inventory of sounds. I'm going to put vowels together with consonants. I'm going to begin all of these syllables with a consonant sound. I'm going to go through all the consonant sounds, make sure you know all the consonant sounds in Spanish. And if not, well, you can review them with this tape. So I'm going to use one consonant. We're going to start with the B and work our way all the way down to the Z. We'll put them next to all 5 vowels and see what they sound like and see if you can repeat them. So this whole exercise is about listening to these sounds so your brain can get accustomed to listening to the correct sounds. Well, let's start with B. Let's do it right now. It would be A, E, O, and U. Those are the 5 available vowel sounds, pure sounds in Spanish. So I'm going to put a B in front of it and see how they sound. Can you do it? Can you repeat it? And it will go something like this. Ba, be. See, you hear that B in front of the A and the E? Okay. I'm going to go through all 5 of them. Ba, be, bo, boo. So why am I asking you to do all this? Well, because you're getting the brain familiar with the sounds. So we got to start somewhere, and the easiest way to start is with one syllable utterances, which is what we're doing, and which is already very sophisticated because there are utterances that just have one sound. Here we're starting with 2 sounds. You know, there are utterances like the sound E, which in Spanish means and, A-N-D, and. It just has one sound, which is E. So we could start there, but I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that those would be fairly easy. A person who speaks English when he's learned to speak Spanish can do really a good job up to about 6, 7 sounds in a row. And then you start having a little problem because the first language is trying to interfere with your thinking while you're trying to learn to speak the new language or the target language, which is, in this case, Spanish. And it works the same way with any language. So here we go. So if I put a B before the I would get the syllable sound of ah or ba. Ba has 2 sounds with the ah. Now let's put it with the next vowel, which is e, and that would be be. The next one would be b, and bo, and boo. So that's the way it's going to go. Ba, be, be, bo, boo. So that's the consonant B in contrast with all 5 vowels. Okay? So let's start the whole thing, go from B to Z, and see how fast we can do it. We'll give it enough time so that you can repeat and use this as some practice, some kind of practice. If not listening, to actually speak it. Because you have to learn how to, if you want to learn how to speak a new language, you have to speak it. And this is the very, very, very start of learning to speak it. So here we go. Ba, be, be, bo, boo. The next consonant would be the C, and it would be pronounced ka, se, si, ko, ku. When the C is next to an E or an I, it changes from a hard K sound to a soft S sound, and that's what's happening there. Ka, se, si, and then back to the ko and the ku. You put the K sound again. Let's take the next one. The next one is cha, che, chi, cho, chu. You've got the 5 vowels with the sound of ch, ch. It's spelled CH, and we have that sound already in English. The next one is the D. Da, de, di, do, do. The next one is the F. Fa, fe, fi, fo, fu. Next one is the G. Ga, ge, gi, go, gu. And then we have the H. In Spanish, the H is silent. So there you go, you win one. And then it's the J. In this case, it would be ha, he, he, ho, hu. So the J has a sound. Do you know that sound already? Of course you do. We have it in English. And then we have the K sound, which is the same sound as in English. Ka, ke, ki, ko, ku. Next one's the L. La, le, li, lo, lu. Now we're going to do the double L. So anytime you see in writing double L, you pronounce an E sound. And the next one is the M. Ma, me, mi, mo, mu. So now you're getting the hang of this. The next one is the letter N, which would be na, ne, ni, no, nu. The next one's the P, and that would be pa, pe, pi, po, pu. Now, since Spanish is a non-explosive language, which means there's not some hard air pressure coming out of your mouth where you might spit on somebody. So Spanish is not like that. English is, so you have to keep your distance when you're speaking English, where Spanish is called the Romance language because it's kind of a language where you can step in and speak without having to think about that you're going to spit on somebody, because there's no explosive, what are called explosive sounds in Spanish. So the P in Spanish is a lot softer than the P in English. And we would pronounce it instead of pa, pe, pi. We don't do that in Spanish. We do pa, pe, pi, po, pu. That's the P. The Q would be pronounced usually like a K sound. So that would be ka, ke, ki, ko, ku. And then there's the single R. There's a double R and a single R. When the R begins the word, or better put, when the R is not surrounded by vowels on the left and on the right, it's pronounced differently than the regular R. So we have a regular R, which is one R, spelled with one R. We have a different R, which is spelled with two R's. So it's the two R one that gives Americans that speak English problems, because it's a trilled R. It's a R instead of just a In English, we use the sound Spanish, we actually use the tip of the tongue to thrill it, to move it really quickly. And we make a sound. So we have the single R. So it would be ra, re, ri, ro, ru, because there's a vowel next to it, the R. So it's pronounced like the trilled R, like the double R, which is what the next one is. Next one is ra, re, ri, ro, ru. Next one is the S, and of course the S, we know the S, it's a S. So it would be sa, se, si, so, su. And the next one is the T. Now again, it's not explosive. So it's a soft T. It's ta, te, ti, to, tu. You can still distinguish it. You can still become very, very familiar with it. But you got to pay a little bit more attention in Spanish to the T's. And the next one's the V. In this case, it would be pronounced like the B, like when we first started the alphabet here, the consonants, like the regular B. It would be ba, be, bi, bo, bu. Exactly the same sounds. It would be wa, we, we, wo, wu. And the X would be sa, se, si, so, su. There are some other sounds for the X in Spanish because of the Indian languages that were spoken there when Spanish was introduced to the Americas. The letter Y is just the one, it's really a vowel, but a lot of people try to say that it's a consonant. But the sound is a pure sound. E is, so it'd be ia, ie, ye, yo, you. But it would be nonsense, so it would break the rule of the pure sounds being next to non-pure sounds. And in this case, the sound of the Y is pure, so it would be nonsense to put it next to an A or to put in a syllable next to another vowel, because it wouldn't really be a syllable, it would just be just two sounds, two pure sounds. And finally, the Z. The Z is an S sound. The S, which you know, it's not the Z sound. It's just the air coming out, no sound, no vocal cords going. So it'd be sa, se, si, so, su. Okay. So now I really don't want to make this video any longer, but I wanted to give you all the sounds together so that you can practice them. So you can just maybe cut the tape later or whatever, and just have this last part, which is I'm going to put it all together, go through all the sounds, and you can just listen to those till infinitum, forever if you want, until you know you can have all of them. So now, but remember, this is just one syllable. Words are composed of more than one syllable, usually two syllables. So something happens to some of these sounds when you combine two babas, or two bebes, or two bibis, or two bubus, or caca, or sese, or sisi, or something happens to, for example, like the D. The D changes completely from a D sound to a TH sound when it's surrounded by two vowels, one on the right side and one on the left side. So instead of saying bado, B-A-D-O, bado, or you wouldn't say bado, you wouldn't say the D right there, B-A-D-O, you wouldn't say the D. You would say a TH, so you would say bado. And that's the way it is when D's are, and there's several others. So this is just one syllable. First you got to practice the inventory. You have to practice to see that at least you have the minimum required sounds that are available in the Spanish language so that you can start repeating them. And that's the whole trick. The whole trick is on repeating these sounds so that your brain can recognize them. It has to learn to recognize them. And it can do that really, really fast and really, really good without you even focusing on anything, just by having them turned on and listening to them and repeating them. The whole trick is into repeating them. Why? You might say, why would I want to repeat it when I can just listen to them and, hey, enjoy them? You know, just let my head fill itself with these sounds. Well, if you want to learn to speak, you have to learn to say the sounds, because there's something about speaking that the brain recognizes not only the sounds, but it recognizes the vibrations of the sounds, if you can believe that, okay? That's why we have music, for example. That's why we have music, because of the vibrations, and the vibrations really in music, like in a piano, they're mathematically figured out what the sound sounds like. And we can do all that because of the vibrations. If sounds didn't have vibrations, maybe we couldn't even speak. Well, we couldn't speak if it didn't have vibrations, because not only are the vibrations carrying it through the air to whoever's listening, so if that you speak and you're too far away, the listener's too far away from you, he won't understand what you're saying, because the vibrations can only carry so far. But since you're trying to learn to speak, as you speak, you're making vibrations. Your whole body is vibrating up the way up to the brain, which is what you were doing when you were a baby and you were still in the womb. Even when you were in the womb, you were learning to speak, because you were learning the vibrations of that particular language that you were going to be born into. So speaking or repeating is one of the most fundamental techniques of learning to speak another language. You're going to learn by repeating what other people say. So you're not going to be learning words. You don't learn another language. You can, but it would take too long. Nobody speaks one word at a time. I've discussed that in my other videos. Ad infinitum, excuse me, that's my word of the day. Infinitum, infinity, I'm trying all different. Anyway, I love to play with sounds. But anyway, so what we have to try to do is to learn to speak in recognizable and familiar blended sounds. It's not just one sound and then you say another sound, and then you say another sound. No, speaking, you blend them. All these sounds that are involved in a meaningful utterance, right? An utterance is, I talked about on my videos. And an utterance is all the sounds that are coming out of your mouth that you have to pause. And you can pause really quick and do another utterance. That's not a problem. We talk like that all the time. In fact, that's the way I'm talking to you right now. Between 7 and 15 words are coming out of my mouth. Sometimes just 3 at a time, sometimes 5 at a time, but I do it so quickly, I pause so quickly and get some more air to breathe, and I can it seems that I can go on for a long time, but I'm really not. I'm using pauses anywhere between 7 and 15 words in my utterance. So, okay? Does that make any sense? I hope this makes some sense to you guys, because I'm trying really hard to give you as much information as I can so that you'll be able to learn to speak not only Spanish, but hopefully in the future I can convince you that you can speak any language. And it all involves the same techniques. Everybody learns to speak. We have over 7,000 languages. So how does 7,000 different cultures and populations and countries and so on sort of learn how to speak their own language? There are different. Is everybody learning how to speak differently? No, everybody learns. All the languages are the same as far as learning them is concerned. You go through the same processes and the same steps in order to learn them. And this is one of the primary steps. One of the first steps you have to take is to be a master of the sounds of that particular language, so that you can start learning utterances, what people are saying, so that you can build a inventory of all these utterances that you can just go ahead and use them once you have them stored in your head, and your brain does that. We're very, very good at storing meaningful ideas, meaningful thoughts, and that come through speech. So if you learn how to say, "I want to go home," well, it's easy to say, to bring out that "I want to go home" utterance in your head and add a different place. I want to go to the office, I want to go home, I want to go to the movies, I want to go. It's still the same thing, wanna and go. I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. So that pattern stays in your head. In English, that's why you learn English. And it also you will retain it in your head in Spanish or in any language. As long as you feed the brain the correct information, the brain will store it accordingly. If you don't feed it the right information, you feed it just one word at a time, and then you try to put them together and you don't know how to put them together. And the brain, what I mean is the brain doesn't know how to put them together. It only knows how to put them together the way that it's supposed to put them together. So just feed it the way it was fed to you when you were growing up. Nobody taught you how to talk, not really. You learned it all on your own. And it was because at the beginning you couldn't speak, so you were forced to listen to all these sounds and hear yourself talk and cry and mumble and do all sorts of baby little languages and practices. And so you were practicing all these sounds that are available to all the languages in the world, and then you chose the ones to use for that particular language, and you did it all without anybody telling you anything. So that's the way I want to feed you guys. Start from the beginning with the sounds and work our way up to one-word utterances, two-word utterances, until we can go up to 7-word utterances, and then hopefully up to 15 without having to make mistakes or having to take a breath if you don't want to. If you can get good at it, and you can get good at it the more that you practice. So you start with building up 2-word utterances in your head and storing them, and 3-word utterances and 4-word utterances, and you work your way up to enough to have carry on a conversation. Okay, you guys. So like this is just one syllable. I'm going to make another video explaining what happens when we put 2 syllables together into a word, or a possibility of a word, an opportunity of a word. And then we're going to put words together into utterances, hopefully about 7 words. So you can imagine it would be about anywhere between 75 or maybe 50 and 100 sounds that stream out, blended sounds that stream out of your mouth to complete a thought, right? Okay. Thank you, guys. I took too much of your time already, and I hope to do a better job next video. All my videos are getting better. Believe me, I'm trying really hard, you guys. Okay. Talk to you guys later. See ya.